All right, scientists, are you ready for an over-the-top science lesson? I'm Mr. Crouch. Let's take out our science journals. We're going to talk about the solar system. Let's get started. All right, so let's start a new page in our science journals, entitle it Planets in Our Solar System. Put it up in the top center, underline it, and capitalize all the important words. Take your time and spell it correctly. All right, so I have a question for you. And here's just to get started. How many stars are in our solar system? I'm going to give you four choices, okay? All right, we have A, 1. We have B, millions. We have C, billions. Or D, trillions. So take a moment, choose your answer. If you need to pause the video right now to catch up, please go ahead and do so and circle which answer you think is correct. All right, are you all caught up? All right, so which answer is correct? Well, I'm going to take a few away. The answer is not B, millions, so I'll take that one away. Is yours still there? All right, I'm going to take away billions. All right, is yours still there? So which one goes away? Trillions goes away. The answer is 1. Are you surprised? Yeah, there is one star in our solar system, our sun. See, the word solar actually means sun. So you're literally asking how many suns are in our sun system. Well, the answer to that is 1. All right, so let's see if you get it. I'm going to bring up a picture here of the solar system, okay? So here is our solar system. This is our sun, along with the 8 planets. All right, so I'm going to label the sun here. So this is the sun. And then the furthest planet from the sun is Neptune. So Neptune is 2,800,000,000 miles from the sun. So the distance between the sun and Neptune is 2.8 billion, or 2,800,000,000 miles. How many stars are in between the sun and here? So how many stars are between here and here and here? How many? Well, I already told you. There's only one star in our solar system, that's the sun. So there are no stars in between here. All right, are you a little surprised? Cool. All right, are you all caught up on your notes? All right, good. Put your pencils down. Let's talk a little bit more about the sun. All right, so the sun is a star. You know that. The sun is a star. And at 93 million miles away, it is by far the closest star to Earth. At 93 million miles away, there's no other star anywhere near the sun. All right, so our sun has light that leaves it. So light travels in waves. So let's say I'm the sun. So light leaves me and it goes toward Earth, racing at 186,000 miles per second. Like that, 186,000 miles. So every second it travels that much. And it takes over 8 minutes for the light from the sun to get to Earth. So what does that mean? So that means when the sun comes up, and I go like this because the sun doesn't come up, Earth rotates toward it. But when the sun comes up, you're seeing 8-minute-old light. All right, so let's go back to our journal. We've been talking about the sun. So let's skip a line. You can keep this on the left and write characteristics of the sun and underline it. And in your journal, it's always kind of nice to draw a little picture. So let's draw a little picture of our sun here. See how I can do here with this. All right, so get some lines going off my... There we go. There's my sun. I'm sure yours looks a lot better than mine. You get the idea. There's my sun. Yes, give me a round of applause, please. All right, so draw your picture. And then we said the sun is a medium-sized star. And by the way, as far as medium-sized star goes, it's on the small side of medium. And it's called a yellow dwarf star. And dwarf, by the way, usually means small. So that gives you an idea, even though it's medium, it's on the small side. And a yellow dwarf star, that's a type of star. We'll talk more about other types of star. There's red giants, there's blue giants, but we'll get into that in a future lesson. The sun is 93 million miles away from Earth, and It's the closest star to Earth by far. And this last thing is true for all stars. All stars are a ball of dense burning gas. And the reason they shine bright is because the gas is burning, and that's what you're seeing. That's why stars twinkle. You're seeing the gas burning. All right, so let's get this copied. Pause the video, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the sun. All right, we're going to get to planets in a minute, but I want to talk a little bit more about the sun. You know, I find this stuff fascinating, and I find that most students find it fascinating too. So I told you the sun is 93 million miles away. You got that. You got that. And I also told you it takes 8 minutes for the sun's light to get to Earth. And you know the sun is by far the closest star to Earth. Do you know how close the next star is? Well, I don't have an exact distance, but it takes the sun's light 8 minutes to get here. It takes the light from the next closest star 4 years, more than 4 years to get to Earth. See, something called a light year. A light year is a distance that light travels in 1 year. So it takes the next closest star 4 years to get to Earth. And by the way, there's not that many. Most stars, when you go out at night and you look up in the sky, are over 1,000 light years away. Over 1,000. So let me give you an idea of what that means. I told you light travels in waves, right? And I told you the light leaves the star and comes toward Earth. So what that means is light leaves that star. On the way for it to get to Earth, it may die. It may die after 500 years, yet the light will still come to Earth, which means that when you look up at the stars, you might be looking at a star that's not even there anymore. It may have died 500 years ago, and you're just seeing the light now. It's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. All right, let's get to planets. All right, so we've talked about some fascinating things about suns and stars. So let's talk about planets now. So what is a planet? Well, let's skip a line and write characteristic of a planet. Okay, so the first thing you want to know about a planet is that it must spin on an axis. Now, an axis is an imaginary line that goes through a planet. So let's draw one. An axis, spinning on an axis causes a planet to have night and day and stuff. So I'm drawing a planet there. And I'm going to draw an axis. An axis is just a line going through. So let's draw a line. It's not straight up and down. There's a slight angle, like 23.5 degrees. So that's an axis. And because this is science, we want to label our diagrams. So let's write axis there. And maybe, there we go. Maybe you want to label this blue thing here as a planet too. And right here spins on an axis. That would be good. So a planet must spin on an axis. Number two, all planets are round. And the third thing is orbit in a spherical path around a star. So what does that mean? So here's my star. So let's bring this down here for now. And I'm going to draw a picture of a planet. Let's take this one here. We'll put this over here. So spin means going in a circle. This one here travels in an orbit. So this here means it goes around the star. And forgive my awful drawing. So this goes around the star. And that's what orbit means. So spinning or rotating on an axis is what I showed you before. This is called orbit or revolving. So all planets must orbit or revolve around a star. So those are your characteristics of a planet. So now let's talk about moons, and then we'll talk more about planets, because moons sound pretty much the same, but there's a slight difference. So let's talk about what a moon is. All right, so I took that picture out here. I just wanted to put this side by side so you could see the difference. So put characteristics of a moon. It doesn't matter if you put it underneath. I just wanted you to see it side by side. So the first thing is it also rotates on an axis. Remember, rotate and spin are the same thing. I'm just using rotate this time. They're also round. The big difference is a moon orbits a planet or another object, but generally a planet. So you know Earth has a moon, and the reason it's a moon is because the moon travels in an orbit around Earth. And many planets have moons. For example, Jupiter has 79 moons, and Saturn has almost twice as many at 150. So a lot of planets have moons, and the difference again is moons go around a planet and a planet goes around a sun. Okay, it's time for you to show what you know. You're going to go on to the next page of your science journal and you're going to title it Our Sun and the Planets. I would recommend that you hold it landscape like this because you're going to need a lot of room going across. So your assignment is to draw the sun and the 8 planets in our solar system. And you're going to label the sun and the 8 planets. I want you to really use detail when you're drawing the planets. For example, Mercury is the smallest planet and it should be drawn that way. Jupiter is the largest planet and it should be drawn that way. Saturn has rings, and so on and so on. You also are going to need to know the order of the planets. So the way I learned it is with the mnemonic device, my very educated mother just served us nachos. The first letter of each of these words stands for a planet. M, Mercury, V, Venus, E, Earth. You get the idea. So pause the video, write the assignment, and you do have a journal entry on the next slide, so keep that in mind. Okay, it's time for you to show what you know. It's your journal entry time. Question 1. Name and explain 2 things you learned in a lesson. Be specific. Question 2. What is the difference between a moon and a planet? When you're answering the question, make sure you use the words moon and planet. Don't say one is, one has, the other. Use moon and planet in your answer. Question 3. Research the difference between orbit and rotate and draw a simple diagram to show your understanding. Alright, if you have any questions pertaining to this video, a science question, go ahead and email me at overthetopscience@gmail.com. In this YouTube video, please go ahead down below and click like and click subscribe. If you have any comments for me though, please email me and I'd be happy to address your comments or questions. Happy science, everyone.